Today, we are going to talk about one very important and specific aspect of writing, which has become quite prominent in today's world, and this is report writing. Now, before we go on to talk about report writing, let me ask you a simple question as to why are reports written, and is it essential to write reports? Also, is it essential to learn the art of report writing? In today's lecture, we will focus on these various aspects as to what report writing is, what are various processes involved in writing it, why a report is written, what is the significance of a report, and what can a report do. With understanding, what do you mean by a report? A report is a written document that presents information in an organized format for a specific audience and purpose. Although summaries of reports may be delivered orally, complete reports are almost always in the form of written documents. So you can define a report as a written presentation of factual information based on an investigation or research. Reports form the basis for solving problems or making decisions, often in business and science. The word report has its origin in Latin word reporto or reportier. It is actually a combination of two words, re and portier. A porter is a person who transfers our goods from one place to another. Likewise, when we talk about a report, the literal meaning is a piece of information from someone to be given to someone who wants to use that information. Report is an administrative necessity. In the organization, most of the decisions, strategies, policies that are being devised are based on reports received from various levels within the organization. It is the most official form of information or work is communicated via reports. Reports are the primary means of communication in organization. In large-scale organizations, there is no alternative to use reports. Reports also play an important role in small-scale organizations. Some points highlighting the purpose or objectives or importance of business reports are presented below. First, it is used for transmitting information. Business report is very important for transmitting information from one person to another or from one level to another. Although a manager can personally collect required information in a small-scale enterprise, it is not possible in the context of large-scale organization. In the latter case, the managers rely on reports for obtaining necessary information. It is used for interpretation and explanation of event. Report provides interpretation and explanation of information. As a result, readers can easily understand it. Reports are used for making decisions. A report is the basic management tool for making decisions. The job of a manager is nothing but making decisions. Reports supply necessary information to managers to solve problems. It is also used for communicating with external stakeholders. In addition to internal use, reports also communicate information to external stakeholders like shareholders, creditors, customers, suppliers, government officials, and various regulatory agencies. In the absence of formal business report, such stakeholders would remain at dark about the organization. It helps in developing information base. Reports also contribute to the development of information based in the organization. It develops an information base in two ways. Firstly, day-to-day information is recorded permanently in the form of written reports. Secondly, the written reports are preserved for future reference. In these ways, reports help in developing sound information base. They are used for managing labor management relationships. Reports also help to improve labor management relationship, particularly in large organizations. In large organization, there is a little opportunity of direct communication between top-level management and employees. In this case, a report is used as mechanism of keeping both sides informed about each other and improving their relationship. It is used as a tool for controlling. Controlling is a final function of management. It ensures whether the actual performance meets the standard. In order to perform the managerial function of controlling, report serves as a yardstick. It supplies necessary information to impose controlling mechanisms. It is used for recommending actions. Reports not only supply information but also recommend natural actions or solutions to the problem. When someone is given the charge of investigating a complex problem and suggesting an appropriate remedy, the investigator usually submits a report to the concerned manager. Let us go through the characteristics of a report. Report is a complete and compact written document giving updated information about a specific problem. Report is a systematic presentation of facts and figures, conclusion, and recommendations. Report writers closely study the problem under investigation and prepare a report after analyzing all relevant information regarding the problem. Report is supported by facts and evidences. There is no scope for imagination in a report, which is basically a factual document. Reports are usually in writing. Written reports are useful for reference purpose. It serves as a complete, compact, and self-explanatory document over a long period. Oral reporting is possible in case of secret and confidential matters. Report is a valuable document which gives information and guidance to the management while framing future policies. It facilitates planning and decision making. Reports are also useful for solving problems faced by business enterprise. Report is a comprehensive document and covers all aspects of the subject matter of study. It is a self-explanatory and complete document by itself. Report is an effective tool of communication between top executives and subordinate staff working in an organization. It provides feedback to employees and executives for decision making. Reports are generally submitted to higher authorities. A report serves as a permanent record relating to certain business matter. It is useful for future reference and guidance. Report writing is a time-consuming, lengthy, and a costly activity as it involves collection of facts, drawing conclusion, and making recommendations. Reports are classified under two categories, that is, informal reports and formal reports. Let us understand each of these. First, let's take up informal reports. Informal reports in the business setting are usually shorter in length and have fewer sections than a formal report. Employees in most organizations create and use informal reports. Almost all informal reports are for internal use. The informal report functions to inform, analyze, and recommend. It usually takes the form of a memo report, letter report, or a very short intentional document like a monthly financial report, monthly activities report, research and development report, etc. This report differs from the formal report in length and formality. It is written according to the organization style and rules, but usually does not include the preliminary, that is the front, and supplemental, that is the back material. The informal report is usually more controversial in tone and typically deals with everyday problems and issues addressed to a narrow readership inside the organization. Some of the informal reports that are used in day-to-day functioning of an organization are progress reports, used to inform the higher authorities about the progress of a particular task or a project that is being executed. Sales activity report used to inform the higher authorities about the sales performance in the market. Personal evaluation reports, financial reports used to update the inflow and the outflow of cash. Feasibility reports submitted to understand how feasible a project is to be taken up, and credit reports and minimum. The next is a formal report. A formal report in business is closer to the kinds of reports you may have encountered in academic writing or academic setting. A formal business report is generally longer than an informal report and contains many specific sections and labels. These sections and labels may come from company policy and practice or be prescribed by the outside organization the report is sent to. While you are more likely to encounter informal reports in your day-to-day work, formal reports are used for complex issues and in more complex circumstances. Formal reports contain detailed information and research. They can be used to address a wide variety of topics ranging from larger internal problems or proposals to an external client. Formal reports delve much deeper into a topic than informal report. The label formal may intimidate some writers, but the formal report is an extension of business writing. The formal report is a collection and interpretation of data and information. The formal report is a complex and used at an official level. It is often a written account of major project. Examples of subject matter include new technologies, the advisability of launching a new project line, results of a study or experiment, an annual report, or a year-old review of developments in the field. Like there are various types of informal reports, there are different types of formal reports. They can be categorized as informational reports, analytical reports, and recommendation reports. Now let us go through each of these formal reports one by one. An informational report is one that contains details of information without analysis or recommendation. It is the report prepared from the information gathered from the investigation, and this is known as informational report. The objective of an informational report is to carry information from one area of business to another. This type of report is going to just show the facts about a subject. Officers, a board of directors, and stockholders of the company usually read such a report. Report writing structure is not followed over here. Length of an informational report is relatively short. It is comparatively small in size. Informational reports are not much important for decision making. Recommendations are not provided by this type of a report. Generally, there is no recommendation from the reporter. Preparation of an informational report requires clearly efficiency of writing. Here, reporters doesn't have the scope to add his opinion or personal opinion because reports are based on factual information. Since informational reports presents information without analysis and interpretation, it is less helpful in making an instant decision. The decision is not helpful making because there is no recommendation in such a report. Informational report presents results so readers can understand a particular problem or solution. For example, manager of a city's website might prepare an informational report for the city council. That is, the report would provide statistics on the number of people who pay their city water and sewage bills online. Informational reports might present information on the status of current research or of a project. Present an update of the operation in your division. Explain how your organization or division does something. And present the result of a questionnaire or research. So this is all about informational reports. Let us understand what do you mean by analytical reports. Analytical report is one that presents, analyzes, interprets information and makes recommendations on complex and critical problems. It is the report prepared after analyzing the investigated information and thus called as analytical reports. The objective of analytical report is to solve problem. This type of report is going to include both negative and positive aspects of a subject with an opinion included. Top-level management is a target reader of analytical report. Report writing structure is followed here very strictly. Analytical report has the maximum length. It is comparatively large in size with quantitative and qualitative analysis. Analytical reports have immense importance in decision making. Recommendations are indispensable part of analytical report. A recommendation is essentially required here from the reporter. In order to prepare an analytical report, the reporter must have analytical and interpretative knowledge. Here, reporter can add his personal opinion to the report. Since analytical report interprets information and makes recommendation, it is useful in decision making for an instant decision. As there is analysis and recommendation existing in the report, executives can take decision from such a report. This type goes a step beyond presenting only results. Analytical reports presents results, analyze those results and draw conclusions based on those results. These reports attempt to describe why or how something happened and then to explain what it means. Like informational reports, analytical reports can be formal or informal. They explain what causes a problem or a situation. For example, they present the results of a traffic study showing accidents at an intersection. The report explains what it means. Explains the potential results of a particular course of action and suggests which option, action or procedure is the best. Now let us understand what do you mean by recommendation reports. A recommendation report is a paper that compares two or more products or solutions and makes a recommendation about which is the best option. Because the purpose of the report is to recommend a course of action, it is called a recommendation report. A recommendation report proposes a solution to a problem or evaluates a possible solution and recommends one. Before proposing or recommending a solution, the report needs to identify the problem. This type of a report advocates a particular course of action. It presents the results and conclusions that support recommendations. It is identical to analytical reports. For example, your analytical report suggests using treatment X is more efficient than treatments Y and Z. However, that does not mean that you will use treatment X, as cost and other considerations might recommend treatment Y. Thus, recommendation report helps you to answer various questions like what should we do about a problem? Should we or can we do something? Should we change the method or technology we use to do something? So this is all about the different. We have seen that there are different types of formal as well as informal reports. Now let us start understanding the different types of formal as well as informal reports with an example. In the informal reports, there are various types of informal reports like memo reports, letter reports, and the various day-to-day reports that are being submitted to the higher-ups within the organization for the day-to-day functioning, for reporting the day-to-day functioning of the organization. So first let us take up the memo report example. A memo report, as the name implies, is a report written in memo format. Memo reports are commonly used to reply to a request for information. In contrast with a regular memo, memo reports are usually longer and may contain headings, citations, and references. Now let us see the example of a memo report here. Now you can see the example of a memo report that has been written to report the pest control problems to all the departments and the issues of pest control problems and what are the different recommendations to control these pest control problems. Like we have understood that any general report is divided into three parts, that is introduction, discussion, and recommendation. So in this example you can see the report is being written in a memo format, but the body of the report is been divided into three sections, that is introduction, discussion, and recommendation. Now since it is written in a memo format, let us understand the format of memo first. The memo format always begins with the to address. In this case, since the to address is all the departments, because the report is submitted to all the departments. The form address indicates the name of the writer. The date indicates on which date this report has been sent to all the departments. And the subject line indicates the title of the report, followed by the body of the report. The body of the report is divided into three sections: introduction, discussion, and recommendation. In the introduction section, the report indicates what was being done and what was being identified. Like in this case, in the introduction section, it is reported as on 17th August 2010, I inspected the company office as a part of my routine monthly inspection. The inspection centered on two main aspects, that is, hygiene and maintenance issues in the office. Followed by the discussion, reporting about the issues that were being identified by the concerned authority. The issues that were identified were related to hygiene and maintenance, which are explained here. First, the hygiene. Standards of hygiene in the office need to be improved. Cleanliness and pest controls are becoming difficult issues because Despite the fact that employees are allowed to carry only beverages to their desk, we constantly find food particles in the carpeted area. This attracts a lot of pests. Food left over after team get-togethers is frequently stored in the fridge and left there for days. Used mugs and glasses left on desk and spilled sugar near the coffee machine attracts ants. So these are the hygiene issues that were being identified. The next issues reported were related to maintenance. A little involvement on the part of employees can go a long way in helping reduce waste. Lights are not switched off as employees leave the office for the day. The printer is often overloaded because of multiple page printouts. This also delays other people's work. There is also a lot of wasted paper around the printer. So these were the issues identified related to maintenance, and that's what is described in the discussion section of the report. Followed by which, based on these issues that are being identified, the concerned authority has made certain recommendations. Recommendations are: employees are requested to avoid carrying food to their desk. Used coffee mugs and glasses should be returned to the pantry at the end of the day. Food stored in the fridge should be consumed in a day, and the maintenance team should be informed if coffee or sugar is spilled. Second recommendation: employees are requested to switch off their cabin lights at the end of the day to help save electricity. Computer monitors can be switched off when not in use. Employees should not print more than 30 pages at a time using the common printer. Further, everyone is requested to take two-sided printouts if possible. So you can see in the last section of the report, the concerned authority is making recommendations, which is nothing but the actions that employees are supposed to take so that pest control problems could be resolved. So you can see in this particular example that a particular problem is being identified, the problem is being defined and analyzed, and then appropriate recommendations are being made to resolve those problems. The only difference between this type of report and other general reports that this report is written in the form of memo. Now it is written in the form of memo because memorandum means something to remember, and anything that is being informed through the form of memo is to be remembered and implemented by all the employees in the organization without any objection. And hence, certain reports are being presented in the form of memo reports because the organization wants that employees, all departments, or the concerned people to whom the report has been sent in the memo format should implement the contents of the report as it is. So this is all about how do we write a memo report.